Welcome to Films Apart, the podcast where we poke fun at buried flops, unearth hidden gems, and explore timeless classics.
So grab yourself some popcorn, sit back, and let's break these films apart.
Welcome to today's episode of Films Apart. Today we are looking at the raunchy teenage comedy, American
Raunchy?
Pie. It's raunchy, isn't it? It's very raunchy. American Pie. Would you say it's not
1999.
Yeah, I wasn't born back then. 2 years before me.
I was.
Yeah, I know.
You're sitting opposite me. I can see it written all over your face. Yeah, this film was my generation.
Yeah.
I feel like this was. I was thinking about the films that are like this. Like you had Superbad was like the next generation of a similar film. So the essentially the log line of this is 4 guys make a pact to have sex before the prom.
Yes.
That is the story. The story is just about teenagers trying to have sex, at school. And every generation has had one of these films.
Yeah.
And every generation will probably continue to have one of these films because it's so relatable.
Yeah.
But certain things change. Superbad was the following generation. It was still my generation, really, but it was like it was a few years after it.
When did Superbad come out again?
It's probably about 2006.
Yeah, 2007. I'm trying to think what my versions of this were.
Well, that would be interesting to know. The ones before it, I had to think about this, was Dazed and Confused. Have you seen that film?
No,
sort of 1993. Before that, you had like films like Animal House, and before that, you had Porky's. I think we might have talked about Porky's once before.
I feel like I've heard of it, but I've not seen it.
That's like the 70s, I think.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm looking through some now, and most of them I've not watched because I really was never a rom-com type person.
Is this a rom-com, would you say?
I don't think I watched anything with like relationships or sex and stuff. I was just action, rather than getting action.
You're just all about the action.
It was about watching action. But looking at some, I remember watching like, I think In-Betweeners is the only real one that I've seen that I grew up with. And then parodies of films like this with another teen movie, which was made by like the production company and people that did Scary Movie and stuff like that, where it's like a parody of this genre. And it wasn't until later that I sort of watched things like Superbad. I think I saw American Pie probably at around about 14, 15 sort of time. So I probably saw it at the same sort of time as the audiences that were watching it.
If you look at American Pie and Superbad, American Pie was about friends getting together and trying to have sex. Superbad made a comment on the friends aspect of it. You had the whole bromance. I'm sure that's the film where bromance became like a kind of big thing, whereas that was clearly bromance, but it was not commented on. That sort of became commented on in the generation after. It was more just guys. I mean, it was the same thing, but it was
it was more
unaware.
about the sex than the friends.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
And that's it's a perfect example, American Pie, isn't it? Because you spoke about this before. Go on, you say what you were saying about the ending, how you felt it should end.
Yeah, so I liked the scene, and I think I probably liked it when I watched it as well, where at the prom, the 4 of them who have made this pact to wingman each other into losing their virginities, 3 of them come together and are like, we're sick of this. Why are we doing this? Why do we care so much about sex? Everything's about sex. Why can't we just be kids? And they go off and have a good time. And I felt like that was a really powerful message for like young teenagers that are probably going through this. And then they all go and end up having sex anyway. I feel like that's probably one of the big differences, maybe.
People don't have sex nowadays.
No, of today, maybe a film would end and it'd be fine doing that.
Yeah.
But then I guess maybe it's more of a comment on the moment it stops being such a big deal. You're ready for it, maybe.
Yeah, no, I do think it's interesting because it is. Then it does become about friendships and growing up, which it was anyway. But it did feel like to have a happy ending. The 4 of them needed to.
Yeah,
that was the stakes in it. That was the actual high stakes in it. And because you had who was the other character that said he'd had sex? The Shermanator.
Yeah, Shermanator.
Yeah, so like you've got this guy who said he's had sex, and it's like they're all like, oh God, well if he's had sex and we haven't had sex. And then it kind of revealed that he hasn't had sex.
No, he cried he cried to the girl all night, and they had a really deep chat,
Yeah.
and then he lied.
But then they still needed to have. It's like they needed to find a way for them to have sex. Not only did they have sex, because obviously you've got. Sorry, we're talking here as if everybody's seen the film, and I guess most people will have seen the film. But there's 4 characters: Jim, Oz, Kevin, and Finch.
Mm-hmm.
Jim ends up with one girl on the prom date. Oz ends up with a girl on the prom date. Kevin is with a girlfriend already.
Yeah.
And Finch ends up getting with Stifler's mom.
Yeah.
Because
Legend.
they need a way for him to have sex.
He one-up Stifler, the bastard. But a lot of it does feel like they just want sex. It doesn't matter who it's with. They need sex. That's how it feels.
Is that not still how it is in life?
Yeah, probably.
Of course it is. But I wonder. I mean, it's interesting that you said it. That it's like kind of moral if they don't have sex and they go away and they take this learning from it, which they did anyway. But like not having sex almost is more moralistic and is better for audiences or for young teenagers, like a good role model. Almost. Yeah. But do you need that in a? Because
I feel like with this film, if we look at it in like a script writing perspective with structure, normally characters have a want and a need, don't they? People say, and for them, obviously, their want is to lose their virginity. Their need is to be happy without sex and accept that that's not the meaning of life. And there's other things around, like you have. Is it Oz that is the lacrosse player?
Yeah.
He discovers like a new thing about himself, that he likes a girl and that he quite enjoys singing and that lacrosse isn't his life. So that's his need met, but they also all get their wants. It's like they get both, which normally in films it's one or the other. So
let's look at Oz. Oz is not the protagonist. Mm-hmm. He's one of the 4, but he's the one that goes through the biggest change. You quite like this character, don't you? You thought this character was one you kind of warmed to the most.
I think he has like you say, he has the biggest change. I think he's the most vulnerable.
But he still starts off going to the choir because he wants to get laid. Yeah. He's like, this is untapped. I think he uses those words, doesn't he?
It's an untapped vein or something.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. And so he's gone there with that sensitive angle. It's an angle.
Yeah.
Admittedly, it changes, and he does become kind of sensitive.
Yeah, but he's
still gone in with an angle.
Yeah, it's all about their different techniques of getting a girl. With Oz, it's obviously trying to be the sensitive guy. With
Jim is anyway.
Jim is anything. Please, just anything. Kevin, is he the
He's the one in the relationship, the long-term relationship.
He just needs to say I love you and commit, and he can't do it. He can't say I love you because he needs to have had sex before, whereas his girlfriend wants to hear him say I love you before they have sex.
Interesting, isn't it? Because she says I love you, and he goes okay.
Yeah.
But and it is, and it that is what's displayed, isn't it? Amongst those, is that she's like, to have sex, it needs to be perfect. Yeah. And he's like, to say I love you, it needs to be perfect.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of conflict, even though they end up having sex anyway.
Yeah, and saying I love you, and then breaking up.
And then she leaves him in a nice way.
And then
Pinch. Feel like Pinch. That, though, would it? Let's face it.
No, it won't feel nice. Not right after.
Yeah, I know. You'd be. In fact, after the first time you have sex, and then your girlfriend leaves you, you would be traumatized by it.
Not our work. It just ain't our work. We got to be realistic. What was wrong? How small was it? Was it that bad?
Tell me what I did.
Oh no. And then Finch, he pays someone to spread rumours about how massive his cock is. Like, he sleeps with older women and all these different things. Yeah.
Would that work nowadays? Do you think if you told women that you've got a tattoo, they'd be impressed?
I think a lot of women still like tattoos.
But I also think women would probably be more impressed if you said you hadn't got a tattoo, because everybody's got a tattoo these days.
Yeah, they have, but they've all got it because people like it. But yeah, it's funny that one of them comes true with him being with a mature woman, and then he goes after Stifler's mum. Could
you make that film today, exactly as it is? If it came out today, would there be any issues with it? Like Porky's, for example. I think if you were to watch that now, and you could probably say the same about this, but if you were to watch that now, you would probably say it was incredibly misogynistic.
Yeah.
So it crosses over a line. I remember thinking it was quite funny as a kid, but like I don't think you could make it now. Well, I'm certain you couldn't. An American Pie, I feel like there's some moments in American Pie
that you probably couldn't do again. The webcam scene.
Yeah. definitely.
That's the biggest thing where it'd be like, you wouldn't be able to play it for laughs now. It won't be innocent fun, and it's never really addressed at all.
So let's say, in case people haven't seen it, let's say what the webcam scene is. So a very attractive exchange student asks Jim for some help with her homework.
Yeah.
He turns up there. His mates convince him to put a webcam on.
She basically, she's coming from cheerleading practice, and she says, I can come after cheerleading practice, but I will need to get changed. He tells his mates, and they're like, oh, dude, it's so on, but you got to set a webcam up so that then we can see her change. And he sets it up, sends it by email to all his friends, not knowing that he sent it to the entire school. Lets her he goes out the room, she starts to change, and he sprints down the road to get to his mate's house so he can watch her getting undressed. She comes across some porno mags in his drawer that his dad's given him so that he couldn't let his sexual frustration
so he
out.
can masturbate, essentially. And then his mates say, well, right, this is your opportunity. You need to get back over there. You know, what can I say? What can I say?
Yeah.
Can I give you a hand?
Yeah,
you know. And so then he does. He goes back and he says that. And what he's accidentally done is he sent the link to the video camera to everybody in the Eastern Falls area. Yeah. And so everybody's watching it.
And he goes running back. He's prepping himself at the door like, comes in, and it's the most awkward thing ever. If he doesn't make a noise that he's caught her until she turns around and she's like, oh, what are you doing?
Jim,
what are you doing in here? He's like, oh, I'm so sorry, and turns away, and it's like instantly.
He says, "Can I give you a hand first?" Doesn't he? I think.
Does he?
I thought he did.
I don't know. I can't remember if he actually does. Maybe he does.
Yeah. But anyway, then he turns around awkward, and she says, "Well, you've seen me naked.
Yeah.
Now I need to see you naked."
Yeah, strip.
And so he strips, and he tries to cover the webcam, and that fails. And then he's doing this embarrassing dance in his pants.
And it goes on far too long. It's like, all he has to do is just strip, but he gets into the dance. He
starts riding the chair, and then he kind of sits down next to her, and not only does he premature ejaculate once, but he does twice.
Yeah.
Without there being any kind of thing other than touch involved.
Yeah, she starts putting his hand down to touch down her thigh, and he comes before anything happens, and she gets up to leave, and he's like, no, I can get going again. Gets the porn mags. He's like, this is good stuff. This is working.
They're all going, Jim, what are you doing? Don't get the porno mags out now. Wait.
And then she starts. Does she get on top of him, and they go to start kissing, and it just happens again?
Yeah.
And obviously, this has been sent everywhere. Her parents find out. She gets brought back home.
So, firstly, if that happened in real life, it would be like criminal charges. You'd be in serious, that's like you get sent to jail for that.
Yeah.
And I think you probably could have, you would have then, I would imagine. But it didn't seem.
But it plays it for laughs. It's not playing it seriously. It's
obviously it's playing it for laughs. But I still think that you couldn't, even though it's funny and it's still funny now.
Yeah.
You couldn't make that now.
No.
And I must admit, when I watched it again, not last time, but I watched it. Beck hadn't seen any of them, so I said, "You got to watch them." So we went. We watched like the main ones because there's loads of them in there. But we watched the sort of 4 main ones. And when we watched it, she found it really funny as well. But both of us were like, "Oh, can't believe that scene!" Like it makes me wonder what the equivalent is.
But you say that, and maybe it couldn't be made now. But then you do have films of recently that do things that are still seem like, oh, you should probably, how have you done that? Like, is it Get Hard, the film with Jennifer Lawrence, where she's paid by the parents of some awkward teenager to pretend to be his girlfriend and basically take his virginity. And she's like, obviously, in her like 30s, I think he's about to go to college. I think he is like 17.
Well, they finish school at 18, don't they?
Do they? Maybe he is. And there's this whole really weird relationship between them both, and she's like gets naked and tries getting off with him and stuff, and like that's a whole film where it feels a bit dodgy.
Yeah,
and it's still been made.
Why is it acceptable then? I mean, people quite like that film. I went to see that film. I found it hilarious.
Yeah, it was great. Like the scene on the beach where she's naked beating up teenagers. Like that scene was like, what the fuck? But I think maybe it just feels more predatory when the gender roles swap.
Yeah.
If it was a man doing it to a woman, it'd be a very different story.
Which is obviously wrong.
Yeah.
But they have a conversation. She has a conversation with the parents, and she's like, aren't you? The mum's like, aren't you a bit old? And eventually, when she admits to being like 32
Yeah.
or whatever she is, she goes, "No, but you need somebody who's experienced for your son's first time or whatever, first date, whatever it is." And they're like, "Oh, she's good. She's good.
She's
yeah,
good.
we'll have her.
We'll have her."
We'll employ her." So that still gets made, I guess. I suppose that is a modern day equivalent of this film, really.
Yeah.
And I wonder if in 20 years' time we'll be looking back on that film, or even 10 years' time looking back on that film and going, "I can't believe they made that."
But I think
or maybe
I think
not.
the film could still get made. It just wouldn't have the same reception.
But I don't think that people are any less. Okay, some people would be less impressed. Like, I watched American Pie and I felt like I felt, and I felt a bit awkward about it. But at the same time, I still found it funny. I didn't.
Yeah.
But I suppose it was with the caveat of it was made
Yeah.
in 1999.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did start to wonder. I thought this film has been made so many times in so many different ways, and for good reason, because it's so relatable and it's so entertaining. It's so funny, the awkwardness of it all. We can all relate to that, can't we?
Yeah.
And I wondered what the modern day film would be, because what's changed in the world now? What's changed in the dating world? Like, it'd have to involve apps, wouldn't it?
Yeah, there'd have to be apps involved.
And
Everything's less social.
And it doesn't
If
feel
anything,
as
things are even more awkward.
Yeah. Are they?
Like that. Well, I think people are less able to socialise because we're so fun. Like, social media has made people less social, and I think as well, obviously, social media would play a massive role in it.
Which is not very, like, kind of picturesque, is it?
not
like
very cinematic.
filmic. Yeah.
No, which is maybe why they don't really make them now. But I feel like there's a lot of untapped potential, which
There's that word again, untapped. Or
untapped, yeah.
Where's the untapped potential?
In like a modern day awkward teen movie.
I mean, you can very quickly gloss over the use of apps to then meet people, can't you?
Yeah.
So maybe it is that. Maybe it's in a film that's even more awkward with people that are even more socially unequipped.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that is what it is like out there, to be honest, because
Maybe not. I think
But
it's probably not. I'm making that up properly.
well, no, I mean, I don't know. I don't know either way. Really, is what I'm saying. I don't really know anything about the apps. I've not really kind of experienced them. Have you?
No comment. They're very impersonal. No one wants to be on them, but everyone's on them.
So it's like social media.
Yeah.
Really. I think that most people
It feels like there's
nowadays
no other option.
would rather not be on them, but you just feel like you can't not be on them.
Yeah, if you're not on them, you don't exist, it feels like.
Even I feel like that,
Yeah. I hate social media.
And I was, and this
still
was, and this
addicted.
film in 1999 was my generation, and so there wasn't that was before social media.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw the computer in the film. It's like
That webcam
yeah, that
quality.
webcam quality. Yeah, it's like when he's watching the porn video at the beginning, and it's like a tape, and you can't really see
Yeah.
anything. You're like, is that a nipple? Like, it's like
And his mum walks in and you just
Yeah.
hear it, but she doesn't question it when she hears it.
no,
It's just a dodgy
This is
channel.
nature.
Yeah, nature.
The relationship between the dad and the son is
Oh, the dad's brilliant.
It's
It's
so
when he takes the
nice.
pillow, let's take that to hide his own boner.
It's so nice though, isn't it? And it's a really lovely relationship. Like
Yeah.
the fact that he walks in on him, and he's obviously, it's called American Pie, and there's that whole scene with this. What's it like?
Fucks a pie.
What's it like to get to third base? Isn't it? I think he asks.
Yeah.
And they go, it's like warm apple pie. And so then he starts. Then
He gets home, his mum's
gets home,
baked a
his mum
pie.
made an apple pie, and he decides to have sex with it. And his dad walks
Dad
in
walks
on him.
And then there's that conversation afterwards where it's
They're
like,
sitting at the table, and you've just got this
Wouldn't-
smashed up pie on the table
So-
between the two of them. Well, let's not tell your mother about
we'll
it.
tell your mother we ate the pie.
That was it. Yeah. MILF. I think MILF came from American
I thought
Pie.
that because
Yeah.
they go, MILF, what's that?
Yeah,
Mum,
yeah.
I'd like to fuck.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure it did come
I
from
feel
it.
I can imagine it being.
I can remember a story about MILF when I was at college. We were in the back car of my girlfriend's mum. It was me, my girlfriend, and my friend, and maybe someone else. But my friend was in the back, and he was saying about my girlfriend's mum, MILF, because he just assumed that she didn't know what she that she knew what it meant. But we sort of subsequently found out that she knew exactly what it meant. But she was flattered.
So I might be one day. Yeah, apparently the same MILF was popularised by the film.
Okay, yeah. So
And
maybe it was
the
out.
guy who says it, John Chow,
Yeah.
apparently he's credited as MILF Guy,
Yeah.
which is a great name.
What did you think of the film then? You know, like technically, I guess, like
Technically.
and writer-wise.
Really nice.
Like tumbleweeds.
I feel like it's hard to watch these films critically for me that are so obviously meant for mass audience appeal that are just having fun.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's a film you can be too critical of. As long as you've laughed, it's done its job.
I
And you laugh all the way through.
I can remember watching it at the cinema as a teenager
Yeah,
in a packed cinema as well.
yeah,
And it being like a brilliant experience.
Yeah.
Because everybody's laughing.
hmm
It's really nice when you're in a full cinema and
Yeah.
everybody's laughing. And in the second film, when that came out, it was an event, you know, like it was the same. It was packed out again. I'm working at cinema then. And I can remember just the amount of people that went to the cinema to see it.
hmm Well, I feel like as well, it's so ingrained in culture now. I think my dad will still say, like, oh, one time in band camp, and he'll do the
Yeah.
voice and everything. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I feel like it's such a staple of
Yeah.
comedy.
Iconic, I guess. I did feel there was times where there was moments in the script which I thought could be improved, but I thought the same as you. Really, it's a film that was made to entertain people, and reflecting on that experiences at the cinema, it made me think that wouldn't it be nice to make a film like that? That has that brings that much kind of enjoyment to a big audience.
Yeah,
Regardless of its flaws, and there is some flaws in it, and some of them that are just because of time, and some of them that are just minor things, just minor script things. Really, you know, it is designed for entertainment.
yeah,
It's a good recipe.
I think so.
Film about brotherhood,
Yeah, I guess it's about brotherhood in a way.
vulnerability,
Vulnerability, definitely.
the age-old desire to get laid,
Yes,
uh,
I said
and
yes too
family.
quickly.
Yeah, you
And
did.
family.
You said yes very quickly. Then, yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like it's a universal film.
The characters are they universal characters? You've got the kind of sporty guy who's you would
Bit of a
imagine
jock.
would get laid, wouldn't you? Bit
Yeah,
of a
yeah.
jock. And you've got obviously Kevin, who's just a normal guy in a relationship.
Yeah.
Finch is this sophisticated oddball, I guess.
Yeah,
And Jim is the everyman.
yeah.
Who do you relate to? The jock,
That's-
the oddball.
Well, I
Kevin or Jim.
probably Jim the most, but then
That's who we're supposed to relate to.
yeah, but then the jock obviously is more sensitive side,
Yeah. Oh, of course, because you're a very sensitive person. Yeah.
really sensitive. No, I think Jim, he's the way in, isn't he? He's awkward. He can't do anything. The moment he's in any situation where he could get laid, it's like, oh, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It is. It is the in-betweeners, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You know,
Yeah,
and that's the same.
they just capture the awkwardness of growing up and youth so perfectly. I feel like now we need to tell a story,
Go on then, tell a story.
but I don't know which. Which do I even tell?
Probably not that one. Tell the other one.
I don't want to tell either of them.
I don't have any. It was always very smooth sailing for me.
Bullshit. Refuse to believe that.
So, Kyle, what did it bring up for you?
What did it bring up for me? It feels like therapy.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. I don't know. That was definitely my experience at school of being, you know, an in-betweener.
Yeah, it felt like everyone else was having sex, dating.
Even though most weren't.
Yeah, no, they weren't.
It's weird, like,
And I think the film does that good with obviously the fucking what's his name character, the ginger guy. Of
Shermanator.
everyone perceives each other as having sex, but really, no one really is.
Yeah.
It's all just because
can-
they think they're meant to be.
Yeah, I can remember you had like the kind of wayward crowd who were off
Yeah,
getting laid, and then you had like the cool guys where one or two were,
yeah,
but only one or two,
yeah,
and then you'd like have like the odd person who got into like a relationship with somebody quite early on, and it was like you would never expect.
No.
But that was happening.
Yeah.
But for most people, it was just like a lot of, how do we make this happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
I go 16 to 8. I going on an 18 to 30 holiday when I was 16, and just the whole time, like the full intention of going there is like getting laid, and all the lead up to it, all the conversation leads to it, what we're going to do, how we're going to do, and then you go on holiday and nothing happens. You just get pissed, and crawl home on your knees and throw up.
The moment I feel
it's
like
fun, but
yeah, it's just them moments of building it up so much in your head, and the moment you're in a situation to even just talk to someone, it's like, oh fuck, I'm sorry. I feel like that's probably why I relate to Jim the most, because it's just I just can't talk to women, like at all.
Whereas now, because of apps, you
still can't.
Not physically, but
no.
It makes me want to try and figure out what the film is now and write it.
Yeah,
obviously.
What would this film be? Yeah. How could you make a film like this today? Obviously, it's an American film. It's very Americanized.
It's very heterosexual.
Yeah,
that's something.
I guess the one of today is probably sex education. I don't know how I've not thought of this before. Do you see sex education?
No.
TV show, British TV show, isn't it?
Is, yeah. But,
that probably is the best example of a modern day, like.
Okay.
And that explores all sorts of different relationships and issues with sex, and they're all obviously teenagers. And it still has funny situations built around sex and intercourse and awkward interaction, but it treats it a lot more gently than...
Is it good?
It is good. I've not finished it because I think the first season will probably be better than the rest.
Okay.
But no, it is good.
As good as The In-Betweeners? I mean, it might be different, but as good as The In-Betweeners, as good as American Pie, for laughter.
No.
Because that's the thing. I wonder, is there a... Oh, I don't want to go down that road of kind of like, we can't say this and we can't say that, because I don't really believe that. No. I think there is a way. I just don't... I just wonder what that way is.
I think this film still could be made today. It would just be approached very differently.
Should we popcorn score it?
Do you want to go first?
Oh, yeah, I haven't really thought about it,
No,
actually.
I've not thought about it at all. It's not a 5.
No.
But I don't think it's a 3 either.
It's difficult, yeah. So you're saying 4?
I think.
How did I deduce that?
I don't know. But then is it worthy of a 4? It's not. There's not really any flaws in it, but it's not like it's a masterpiece of a film. It's just an easy watch that makes you laugh.
I'd probably give it a 4 because, I've watched it a few times in my life, and I could watch it again, not tomorrow, but I could watch it again at some point. I could watch the other films as well. Mm-hmm. The 4 main ones anyway. So yeah, I'd give it a 4 for its entertainment value.
Yeah, I think I'd say a 4 as well. Yeah, same reasons. It's entertaining, rewatchable. I feel like it's always one where it's like American Pie, and someone goes, "Oh, I've not seen that." It's like, "You've not seen American Pie? Yeah. Oh, we've got to watch American Pie." See, I'd say 4 out of 5 sweet score.
Yeah.
4 out of 5 salty score. So 8 out of 10 sweet and salty.
10. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Not bad.
No. Did we want to do any other show business quickly?
Oh, yeah, have you got any?
Yeah, I have actually. So the writer of this, Adam Hers, he wrote this in response to the Scream movies.
Okay.
I assume he wanted like a film that sort of commented on teen films.
He wrote
in a way
American Pie in response to the Scream films.
Yeah.
It just says not another teen movie would seem like a response.
Yeah, after the success of Wes Craven's horror film Scream, Hers began developing the script for American Pie. This is just Wikipedia, so it's probably meaningless.
So it's not necessarily in response, it's more just that's what he began doing after.
Yeah, but he had no involvement in Scream. I don't know why it even says that.
Well, I suppose it says something about the audiences, because Scream was very much... that felt like a film of my generation as well, that was, there was a lot of teen-orientated films.
Yeah.
Is that the case now?
I suppose maybe that's the reasoning. Teen-orientated.
Horror films, I guess, but I'm trying to think.
No,
it is different.
Not really. Yeah, it's not really... Because teens don't have money.
You think
so
that's
now
what
it's got to be more... Or maybe it's just that they want it to be more of a universal appeal.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a thing that happened, when I was that age.
Yeah.
Teenagers went to the cinema a lot, and I don't know if it does now. I'm assuming they go to the cinema.
Yeah, probably.
But let's face it, the cinemas aren't that busy, and I go to the cinema all the time, actually,
Yeah.
and I don't see loads of teenagers at the cinema.
No.
Because it used to be, we'd be the annoying people at the cinema,
Yeah.
gassing and giggling and throwing popcorn at people, and there are people coming in and looking, shining a light down, and and you're just there pretending that you're shining a light at before. I'm trying to watch the film
the
here.
film's on.
Can't you see?
Come on. Why are you wearing a popcorn bucket on your head?
You get that angry person that goes down from the third row who's had popcorn thrown at him so many times, and in the end he's like, I can't do this, and he gets up and he walks out, and he comes back in, and you're there going, don't laugh.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to happen so much anymore.
Well,
and if it did happen, I'd be really annoyed by it.
But funnily enough, recently there's been a lot of this stuff in cinemas with the Minecraft movie and teenagers causing havoc because it's became a bit of a laughing stock of a film, and people have gone along to jump on a trend of screaming out the lines as they come up in the cinema and cheering for certain scenes and just chucking drinks and popcorn everywhere.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So that is going on then.
And cinemas have been creating schedules to know when each of these problem scenes come up so that they can have people standing and watching anyone causing trouble. I think they had to put a warning at the start of the film asking people not to do it now. Same sort of thing happened for one of the new Minions films. It's just when it gains traction on social medias.
But I'm sure that the people that are making the films kind of want that to happen.
Yeah, they're making money.
Gets people
selling
in,
tickets. But yeah, another little bit of information was originally Hers titled the movie "Untitled Teenage Sex Comedy that can be made for under 10 million that most readers will probably hate, but I think you will love." And for some reason, they changed that title.
And that was actually the title.
That's what it says, yeah. And a bidding war started between major film studios with that title.
I wonder if there'd be a bidding war for the equivalent nowadays. I feel like maybe there is films out there, and like you said, Get Hard. Maybe there is films that are out there that are, but they're not the same.
They're never as good. It's not Get Hard. That's the one with Will Ferrell and No Hard Feelings.
Oh yeah. So that is American Pie. 8 out of 10. Definitely worth watching, even in spite of the changing times.
Yeah, still worth a watch.
Yeah. Right, well, we will see you next time.
See you next time. Thanks for listening.
Peace.
Bye.